Hello, my name is Thomas Cape. I am creative director here at Frictional Games, and today is a special day. Today, the HPL engine is actually 20 years old. So, exactly, if I recall everything correctly, which I think I do, on this day, I started writing the very first code for the engine, or what was to become the engine that we'll be using for all our games. So I want to go over the very first version of the engine. So every sort of game has used different versions, sort of. We have the Penumbra games all used what we call version 1. Amnesia Dark Descent and Machine for Pigs uses version 2. And then Soma, Bunker, Rebirth all use version 3. And then we have the next game is going to use the fourth iteration of the engine, each having like big leaps. This is the zeroth version of the engine. It wasn't even in 3D at this point, but it has a ton of stuff that still remains in the engine. So I thought it was going to be fun to show it off. And the whole thing started. I knew I was going to do a sort of exam work for school, so like the final thesis work, and wanted to make a game that and tried to find some excuse to make a game. I collaborated with two other people on this. One, Nicodemus Mattiasson, if I recall his last name correctly, helped out a lot, and Jens, who I later founded Frictional with, who's sadly no longer at the company. So they were in on making this. I made the whole engine myself, and it's all started out. I remember taking the computer to my parents' house in 20th of December, setting it up, and then starting the evening there working on it all. Prior, I had done a lot of reading up on OpenGL because I knew for some reason I had this idea of making a 2D platform engine that had normal mapping or bump mapping, and which I don't think existed at the point, and still is sort of rare, I guess. So that was wanted to be the first one to make something like that, and I had no idea. I never coded OpenGL and so on before, so this was my first attempt. But I'd used 3D engines and so on, so I had a decent idea of how to make or structure an engine. So let's sort of dig into some fun stuff. So here is all of the work stuff. I'll showcase the engine stuff, but let's go through what the game was about. So it's a platform game. Here is, you can see here is Young Energy. We can check some pictures of what we wanted to do. Here's a very nice, wow, concept art, extraordinarily great. So wanted to make a platform game again. I'm a huge Mario fan, so that was like hadn't done that before. Wanted to make it, and we got I can't recall how I got into this, but there was an initiative called Young Energy, which was making kids care about energy consumption. So we sort of folded into that. So the game has all of these sort of how to conserve energy sort of themes wrapped into it. So here is, I don't know why. I think I sort of, I don't know where this was. Here is the menu. There's under here was some test renders of the first one. Here's some other images of how we did very few concept art being made, and then obviously a lot of other, like, oh wow, what are these even? These are not. Oh yeah, these are test images for how the faces can look. Actually, I did this for other people I knew at the time, so they all got their own avatar. Okay, wow, I didn't remember that. I've looked through some of these before, so I wouldn't be, but I can recall that one. Okay, that doesn't matter. We're here for the engine, right? So let's talk a little bit about it. So here it is. We have a settings file. This is sort of fun. I already opened it here. Oops, that was my Windows settings. So here is the settings files. To this day, it has a lot more settings, but it's the same thing. So you have a screen, you have a sound, you have a map, and it is called map file. You have start position and so on. But this remains the same. Like all of these settings, like I wonder if full screen is still like 2 words like this. I think it is. So this actually remains the same. So gonna start the game now. Unfortunately, I tried last night. I tried to find the issue, but I couldn't. So there's some rendering issue that makes it all overexposed. I think it is because there's some weird OpenGL stuff going on. Ooh, wait a minute. We should have sound on this thing as well, because the music actually is pretty good. Sorry, like this is. Why is the volume down? I think let's see how this works. Let's start it again. Yes. The sounds there are pretty good. I think, yeah, this is so blah blah blah. Rejoin an adventure while heroes on the way to help the people of the distant planet far away. I think I wrote this, but I can't recall. It might have been Jens that wrote some of this as well. Colonists on the planet have experienced some more or less serious problem with the evil resource-stealing alien monster invasion. Like the spelling errors are just kind of pile up. There's lots of spelling errors. The music here is great. I haven't heard it in a while. Seems to get close to planning. I got started warm up. Try to turn on the lights, get moving left or right to there. It's very controlled. When you have this sort of annoying sound to follow. This is, for those who don't know this, obviously, I don't know, beer can or some can, but it's a howler. Yeah, space is our inventory. The inventory is shit. As always, I think, yeah, the number got pretty good inventory, if I may say so. Every other game I made had awful inventories. Right now it's empty though, let's get into this. Okay, cool. So it's overexposed. It's annoyingly, it feels like it should be here. But you can see here that we have, yeah, I can't see if I can, but you see the shadows, so you probably see that the spheres there, here, by these two here, are lit, and the robot is also lit, so they're all normal maps and then lit in the environment, so I think it's pretty nifty, and they also come with the shadows. The really annoying part is that these shadows are hard, and I knew how to do smooth shadows. I can go over this in a little bit, but I knew how to do smooth shadows, but for some reason I misunderstood how to do lighting in games. I thought you had to do all the lighting separate, and then you have to render all the colors, because otherwise it would be wrong. And I didn't think you could adaptively add colors. So everything is super cumbersome. I don't know. I can go over some shaders later on. But that's why it does. So it's annoying. It still annoys me to this day, actually, because I had it running, and then if I then later on, I'm like, wow, I'm a moron. And then it's like, because it didn't. Wait, so we can jump here. Does this have? Okay, yes. Allow it to make longer. So pick up. love the music. It's awesome. It's amazing. Yes, so the ship is built to become a custom building. Let's see if I can load right away this as well. Yeah, I'll show a little bit. This tile set is awful. It's just not. I think it might have looked better. I'm gonna blame everything on the graphics not showing up correctly. But that was pretty cool. Well, I think I like all the things. I think the shadows. Was there any? Actually, I should look up. There's another in-game location where this blob that was around. Edward Macmillan and another. I don't recall his name, but they made it like. He made Finding a Fight Stick later on and Meat Boy and such. Both of them made Meat Boy. Anyway, they also had these sort of. But that's it. That's how I see it. It's not super fun. And also these stalactites. Also nice. You see like running around. Like I was pretty happy with this. This is the worst. Like Resume game, it out-selects new game. Resume should be on top. What was I think? Like these are the menus. It's great. But there is a. Are you sure? That's always good. So it's always a sign of something. So yeah. So that's sort of how the game looks. See if I get something out of this. Let's talk a little bit about the. Well, let's talk about this. I haven't checked this. What might this? So, oh, what? Cargo systems? Okay, that was never used. This is not used at all. Ah, no. We set up areas. So, oh, that's cool. That's another one of those. I wonder if this was the first usage of that. So a big part, I think most engine has it, but you enter an area and then something triggers. So we sort of had that there. So let's show the editor. So now you're wondering, can't you extend this? No, because when I did this, this is like, this is as big as you'd ever wanted. So this is how big it is. I wonder, do you want to? Oh, that's really. Let's open a map. I'm not gonna save it at least. There's no undo or anything like that in this editor. This is, I think, this is made in C#, Visual Studio, but it's got to be the 4th tile editor I made for a game. Let's check the intro thingy. So here we have the intro. So, and you're like, yeah, can't we some more flow? Yeah, that would be nice, but nope. We do have a little mini map here. Ah! Can I? So I have to click out like that. So show current. Oh yeah. So we have different layers. I don't know how to even do map properties. What's this? Okay, so it's the name of the map. Oh, we have an ambient, and yeah, the size of it. Tile brush. Shouldn't I be able to? Now I'm very curious how this works. I should have, or perhaps that's not even. Oh, cool. Ah, okay. So we have what layers we want to be working with here. And shadow layer is where what layer is used to cast shadows. So that's a specific layer that we're using to do that. So it's a lot of like more than usual, like said manners. So can we even turn it off? Oh, we can even turn them off. Notice that this, in theory, particle 2 so we can add. Okay, we can add. We can't see them, so now add lots of particle effects here. So this is what we've done since. At least we started. We sort of thrown more towards this. Is what you see, what you call "what you see is what you get" editors, where you actually use the actual engine to render it. I'm not using it here, so I'm using. So it's sort of like another renderer that renders everything shitty. So there's some C# draw routines to draw this. So you actually have to sort of like make the renderer twice. But obviously there's no any sort of bump mapping or anything like that here. Oh yeah, so here we have the areas. So you could have all of the link ends. We are where the place starts. How do I place an area? So I place it like that. Do I? Okay, yes. So I can't select, and I have to go into select mode, and I can move it. I think I didn't even have move options from the get-go, because it's like once you placed it, why do you want to move it? Are you like, don't you know where you wanted to place it in the first? Can I change the size of this? Yes, I can. Oh, okay, so this is pretty neat. Like, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm like, wow, there's actually. So you have custom variables that we can get from, and we can obviously make it bigger. Okay, we have to press OK, so then it's bigger, so we can still place it somewhere. So lights, so point lights. That's the only type of light we have. Then tiles. Ooh, so now you can see which order we want to place it. Do we want to place it in the foreground? Deco back, deco foreground is this one. So then you like place. Do note there is no how do I even, you gotta be kidding me. I have to delete it like that? No, I can't do. Oh, I can rotate the tiles as well. That's pretty cool. Didn't know that. I mean, I haven't touched this in 20 years, so I think, or 19 years, because I touched it a little bit in 2005, I guess, for making maps, so I didn't know. So yeah, so you have all of this there, and then you have different tile sets, so we can edit sets. What does even that mean? Okay, we can delete. I don't know. So these are all the. It's the cave. It's ships. No, we could rotate them and so on. So you can. We can start with rotation. Breakable mode. I have no idea what breakable mode is. because I can destroy certain tiles, yeah. So I can set up them as breakable. And delete tiles mode is that I delete tiles. Yes. Okay, so it makes sense. I could make a map almost out of this, but this is how the map does. So it's me and Jens that made maps using this. Let's see. And then there's also entities. What sort of entities do we have? So switch it. Okay, so here is like gadgets. Are these all? But how do I add enemies here? Ship computer. I'm wondering. Add. GFX enemies. Head. Yeah, they're called head files. Why do they call head files? And HPL entity data, perhaps. Enemy hammer, the big guy. Oh, so I could add it like that. Then can I place it as well? Okay, so that didn't work. I'm just gonna see if I can place him in space. No, I don't know. Drag and drop. I didn't do drag and drop. I could edit. I couldn't edit. I could delete it from this. I don't know. How do you place them? I don't know. We can place sound sources. Sound sources toolbox. Probably no sound source then, and then particle systems. We'll check that. Tile brush. Wonder what tile brush did. Perhaps I wanted to have a tile brush but didn't add one. Okay, it was in select mode, so that was probably why I couldn't add entities. If I place the hammer, oh there, it's a big boy. So you see, there's no alpha for some reason. Oh no, I couldn't get alpha working in this drawing mode. So yeah, so everything is like that. So it's a bit shitty. This one is pretty funky. He jumps up and has a big hammer and goes like bam, slams down. So this is pretty fun. So that's the first one. Editor not used for anything else. This is the last editor I ever made. I made some small tool editors, but then for Penumbra, we basically didn't have an editor. We just used the 3D program and hacked in various shitty ways. Oh, that's for another video. And then in later on in Dark Descent, it was Luis who joined the team and did that. Oh, it didn't ask me if I wanted to save. No. Oh, I'm wondering, did it save? I can't have saved. So let's check a little bit. So, I mean, there's all sort of fun. There's also like the shader I can just show. So we have texture. Here is like, use that for light attenuation. And then we have this shader is not used at all. Some normalize. I don't know, what's some test. Post effect. Oh, post effect. I wonder if I used that one. Never mind. I think because I wanted like a wobble thingy. Also, I remember being inspired by, can't remember his name, but it's a guy that made Gmod later on. He was making a platformer with lots of cool effects. So I also wanted to do that. So let's open this with Gamepad. Or Gamepad. Okay, Notepad. So here is, let's see so we get something. So here is the main sort of code, and the interesting thing you can see here that the texture units are, there's a normal map, there's light map, which is the texture I showed you just for attenuation. There's no diffuse, so we can check the code for that, but actually there's this really weird path. So you're gonna note a few things. That specular is saved in its own because it's applied later on. It's unnecessary. You don't have to do it like that. And then color is on its own as well. And I first thought that the whole washed out look is because of something here, but I don't think it is actually. So I couldn't find anything. I played around with it last night a little bit, but couldn't find any issues. But let's talk a little bit about that renderer. So now we go into engine code. But before I go into engine code, let's just so here is interesting. Here is you have core, you have dependency. That's the same structure. So dependency has in this SDL. So I think that's the only thing as a library that was used, so it's only the STL library. And then later on, we had all other libraries, and we used physics. We had Newton physics there, so that remains the same. Also interesting, you have an include folder, you have a sources folder, because if you want to make it to a lib, you don't have to, so the includes are separate. That structure also remains. It's not weird as such, but it's still fun. Also, you have this folder called implementation, where you implement everything. So you have like a wrapper for everything low level. So here is everything low level in terms of OpenGL. Showed a preview there. The OpenGL and whatnot, and sound. What do we use for sound? Fmod for sound. It's a free version of Fmod. Why wasn't that in dependencies? Should have been dependencies. Never mind. But it's here for some reason. Okay. Yeah. So all of these here. So that means we could have switched it out to dark text or something like that, which was a really nice, a good move that was like very useful later on. So not have any sort of that wrapper. And the reason I did it at all is I work with another engine or a few other engines. But much of for another guy that also made his own engine, a 3D engine this time, had a lot of these sort of wrappers in order to change stuff. And it was a structure, right, with interfaces. I thought was nice. I also liked how this is called. This is physique, not physics. I don't know. I have no idea what I was thinking. Yeah, we have body 2D and stuff like that here. None of those remain. But let's see here. So yeah, here is the interesting. So here we have materials. I can. So that we use so every art actually has its own material. So so later on we have these material files, but the material system, by having materials, still remains in some sense. So I can sort of open that up, and here is where it is. So it just gets all of. So you can see here, it's also like dependencies. So it gets the low-level graphics that's going to be using. It gets an image manager. Image managers and resource managers, those are also still in. I think the image manager is still in. So the image manager works by, so if you have a lot of images, it makes a sort of texture atlas out of them, so you can share the same texture for speed. So that's something one of the first things I ever coded for the engine, probably exactly what I started out coding even. So you can sort of like easily draw, because every time you change the texture unit, that requires the sort of, you can't draw it at the same time. So you can draw like 100 objects at the same time if they use the same shader, if they use the same texture unit. So by then having all the tiles share the same texture, or all the GUI elements, you can sort of draw many things at the same time. So that was a big thing. So that's where the image manager comes in, but it's not important. I don't know even where it's used here. Is it used at all? I just think that it gets, perhaps the material loads it or something like that. So, but anyway, here is like it loads this. We didn't check that one. The vertex program. Here's the fragment program, or fragment shader. They're called programs. The folder with these is called shaders now, but there was programs. I think it's because, was it like that? OpenGL called them programs, dark text called them shaders, something like that. But now we're gonna call them shaders. So here we have the passes, and here is where it gets interesting. So we can sort of note that. So here is the sed, which we have to have. So we build the sed buffer first, and there we use the diffuse, but we all use the alpha of it. So that's sort of funky. And then here we have this sort of light thingy, and so we have sets up with eye position, and it blends it one-on-one. But I'm wondering, was this a different render target? Perhaps I haven't looked into the code. Perhaps it was. Probably no. I don't think I knew how to do render targets. I'm a bit uncertain about this, honestly. I don't think it was. So I think this actually was drawn to the screen, because then later on you can see here is the blend. So it has the depth color, and it blends it. So whenever the new sprites are added, because note that we already did a Z buffer thingy, so sprite is never going to be drawn on top of another sprite because that sprite is already drawn. The Z depth is very important. There's probably something like this that does the washing out. So what it does is that it takes the it blends itself with the destination color, and then this dest alpha 1 minus alpha, which I know these, I can't recall the exact functions, but that's for the specular highlights to be added on top. So I think this is always drawn to screen, but you sort of draw. So if you don't do this call, you only get the lightning. Yeah? That's how I recall it, which is stupid of me because I don't even need this. I could have skipped this, the diffuse pass, and drawn the colors with this, and I would have gotten the smooth shadows. But I was sort of like, I didn't think that was I didn't think that was something you could do. It would look weird, like there would be as you added the colors on top, there would be. I didn't think about trying it out, but I mean, this was something they were doing in 3D. This is how you build a scene in any 3D engine. But I didn't think it was going to work, so I did like this instead. And it's also because when I've done real-time lightning for previous titles, that's how I had to do it, because you sort of build up a mask. No, then you actually build a mask on top. So this is a little bit weird, but that's how the rendering worked in that game. So sort of fun. None of this remains in the game. So it would be fun to be able to do a 2D platformer with bump mapping, I guess, in the newest engine too, but it's not supported. None of the tile things are in. All of that was sort of thrown out later on. So a lot of, so that's the graphics. Then we have like resources. Now I'm curious with the image manager. So probably this some of this still remains. I'm pretty sure that get supported image format still is a thing. And I wonder how much of this remains. Create from bitmap. So a lot of this sort of like just destroy checks it to the users. Yeah, here you have this sort of flush. Flush to texture is that they don't lie on textures, they lie in memory, and then you flush it to textures to be able to use. Instead of wondering here is if we have, is this code here? Yeah, add to frame. So you have the frame. So here is the code. I can't recall how it's going, but I think some of this honestly remains. So you can sort of you get it added. But then it's like the frame bitmap. Now I'm curious on checking that. That feels like this gets worse and worse the more I move on, because I'm like, oh, I can't do anything. This is graphics frame? No, it wasn't. Then it must have been in resources. I missed it. Frame bitmap, frame texture. Which one is it? So yes, so we have no. Oh yeah, but here it is. So here is some sort of tree search that it builds a tree and then it builds up an atlas out of it. It would be fun to show it off, but here it is. I think some of this code, because we still use that as far as I know, and that's one of the oldest codes. There's some, I know for a fact that there's some that are used in math, for instance. So almost all of the math functions that are here are still in. Not all, like clip rect and so on. I think we still have the rect thingy. Modulus just has an extra check. These are like old. I think that even some of these are like really this one. It's this one. What it does is that you sort of, this is where I start, this is where I am, and like what angle do I want in order to travel in that direction. So which is like overly complicated. Yeah, I do this. There's an A10 too that you could be using instead. I don't know. I didn't know about that function. That would have been easier on me, but then you have all of this stuff. But I think it actually still remains like this in the engines. Perhaps we should go and replace it, but nah, we'll leave it be. Yeah. So that's some all golden only. Okay. Let's skip this now. Kind of don't what I've been doing at this 35 minutes. Everyone's dropped out already. So what we can check is actually so script files. They're still called so HPS. So HPL script files. I love coming up with HPL level or HPL. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but let's check a script file for the intro that we saw. So you have an unload. Yeah. Interestingly, like we add the background images like that. Also, there's no variable support. I didn't know. So this is still AngelScript. We'll still use Angel scripting. Fun story. The guy that does Angel scripting. Sorry, I forgot your name. Andreas. It's actually it turned out to be the cousin of a guy that when I was doing this, I went to class to. I had no idea. I just figured out after I've been using it. So I've been talking to Andreas and talking to that other guy. So that's fun. So the only thing we have is an update that's run 6 times seconds, and we do all the checks constantly. So there's no callbacks or anything like that. So it's just go through all of this. Is this local variable? Because I didn't have time to do variables. This should have had it. I think that's still true in. It's still because they have to be saved, so that's I think why, because I didn't know how to do the saving. So it's still true in Dark Descent. It's probably still true but we started then doing callbacks instead. So and then in Amnesia you add the callbacks here, and now we have a system where we add it dynamically in a way. I'll show that off in some other time. And yes, so has interacted, so you can see here. So this is an area and interacted, which is that you basically press whatever, like the switch. So it doesn't even check the switch is pressed. It just checks the player presses that button when in that area, and then so move prop to area. So this is how they're all going. We have intertext. There is no right now in order to do localization and so on, which started in Penumbra. We had a language. There's a language file that we use in order to get the right translations, and so. But now we just typed all the text right here, which is also annoying when you want to spell check, which is like full of because you can't have any. You just check it here. So we have add dialogue. So this is how it was scripted. There's a fair amount of script. Yes, so there's like play music and whatnot. So a lot of again, I didn't. This wasn't the first time I was doing this. The updates I can't recall I did scripting earlier. I have to check that. But this is how we did scripting then, at least with the sort of update. It didn't matter. Like this is slow. This is really bad. But I mean it has its benefits, I guess, to a certain degree. Okay, what else is there? Some music you already heard, some of the great music. The music's really good. Jens, if I recall correctly, made music also previously. So every sound engineer also does music. That's sort of, or most, I guess. That's my experience. He did for a game called Nanosaurus for the Apple that actually was shipped with music. Or no, he only did sounds. Because I think it was Mikko probably that later on did music for most of our games that made that. So see what sounds. I'm just curious what sounds. Oh, it's in just wave. Then later on og. Fun fact: if we checked graphics, so let's check some enemy graphics. So you can see here's the hammer. So you can see it's not a 3D model. It's like all rendered out every single frame of it, and then we have a texture frame, and a and so on. And I wonder how we did it, how we render these out. I think I found a tutorial where you actually can shine lights on it in the 3D editor. So it's quite an annoying process of doing all this. I'm sure we probably found some batch tool as well to do it. So it's just a lot of just work getting this to work as well. But that's the sort of fun of it. But can't recall, or did we do? Oh no, I can't have done any plugin because I didn't know how to do plugins. But this is and they're all in BMP, so they're like very heavy. Actually, BMPs, I think we switched to TGA for Penumbra, but these are uncompressed formats. So normally you want to do formats like DXT, which is like fourth the size or even eighth the size, depending on which format you use. You can save a lot of, and it like looks very much the same. But I probably missed reading on that. So a lot of this is. I read tutorials and so on, but it was harder to find stuff. Most of the stuff I learned about OpenGL was from their, I think it's called the Blue Book. Someone can obviously correct me on that, but they had like the Green Book and the Blue Book, or the Red Book and the Blue Book, which sounds like some sort of like UFO conspiracy things. But the one was like pure reference. The other one was like more tutorial on how to do 3D at all. So actually, that was like what I read all days before starting on this project. But BMP didn't get to DST, and I'm not sure if there was any good exporters for that even. There, Photoshop had them later on, but didn't come until Amnesia, Dark Descent, and the second version until we had that. Fonts. This is weird. I have no idea how we got fonts into the game. So, or did we still use that? Because Andreas, who did script, did also the font as a sort of font to texture tool. We still use weirdly, but I'm like, did we use that at that point? How did I do TTF? I had no idea how the fonts are rendered. I think it must have been, but then they should be. Oh, what? Why was that? That must have been test images. I'm like, shit, I shouldn't open. That's from. I have no idea what that photo is there at all. I don't know who it is even. Someone's telling me who that is. Why would I use that photo? Now I'm all embarrassed. It's not. It could have been worse, I guess. But that's from Penumbra, an enemy, and that's another enemy. And just test photos, and these are also Penumbra. Not Penumbra. What I'm saying, it's Fiend, not Penumbra. And that. Oh yeah. And check here. Here we have it. This is what I was gonna use for the smooth shadows, but I didn't. So yeah. But anyway, who is this? I don't know. Now it's embarrassing. So and then there we have clouds and so on. Let's see. I need to wrap this up in a minute. Well, let's see. Oh, here are all the portraits. Oh. And there's the dead colonist. Oh, the hammer is the last boss. So he has his, and there's another like a creature in a cave that talks to you. And there's the one that the Colonel Wacky. So yeah, I think they were pretty okay. I think I'm a little better at drawing now, but there. Okay. So what's this? Oh, it's test stuff. Yeah. Okay. These are some test images of. And I don't know. Like I'm worried now. I'm clicking on stuff, but I was gonna find something weird. What else is there to show? I mean, we've gone through most of it. There's a lot of stuff just thinking about. That core is not that interesting. That core is not that interesting. But yeah, and also we had a setup. So we did an installer for it even. Like. It's a program you're on that makes the installer for you, so it's not that hard. But still, documentation. Okay, it's documentation of the engine there. Doxy file. Is that a still thing? I tried to uphold that for engine later on when making the 3D version, but yeah, I didn't. Old. I don't think that's anything interesting. But let's see. Is there anything else source-wise that's interesting? So resources, the oldest one, so the date modified, I know there is, so this is like, so this is when it was last modified, so in 2005, when I last touched it, so we can see there, so file searcher, like was done coding. There's some even, I think the sort of, I didn't look through it all, but the oldest one I can find is somewhere around, see here, 22. So 2 days after starting, yeah? Resource types was done. it was never touched again. The rest of them had like fixes, but that was one that wasn't touched. And you have a similar here with file searcher. Like a few days in, done. Never updated that code again. And obviously for other projects, but that's also an old one. So config file and all of these are very old. GPU program manager, wondering if that's, I don't think that's still in, but some of these are in. Lower resources still a file that we use and so on. So a lot of these are still in. Sound, music handler, another thing, but sound has had a lot of updates over the years. But yeah, input still SDL. Oh, it's still actions. Wow. It's the action system where you don't say you want to use you don't, so what you do is, I'll have a few minutes left. I have to do other stuff today as well. I could spend ages here just talking about this, but yeah, this is all still in. So what you do is that you bind so this is the interface for actions, and what you do is that you sort of bind, say, a keyboard action to that. That's a specific action, and that says if it's triggered or not. So you just say, is action X triggered? Like, is the shoot action? And that could be a mouse input, gamepad input, and so on. Must have been something I got from working with other stuff. Because this is like, it's a pretty nice system, honestly. It's still in. We still use it. Like, all of this is still a thing. I think that these are like almost unchanged throughout all of the years. So it's pretty cool. You can sort of code stuff, and then it's also interesting, like how, because these are pretty early. How early are they? Yeah. So check here. You have action keyboard. Last touched like 2 days into the project. Never touched again, and that file hasn't changed since almost. I think that's a pretty good one to end it on. Like there's still like one of these sort of old remains left. There's probably more stuff to find here, but this is like, I've been in 40 minutes on this. Yeah, lots of old stuff here. This is the beginnings of the engine. It got to 3D when we started the Penumbra Tech demo, which has a 20th anniversary. So the 3D engine has a 20th anniversary next year around August. There I have more information, like I wrote my a whole thesis on that. So next year we'll go over the 3D engine. I don't know, perhaps split it into parts, and so on. Perhaps can look at what we do the most recent engine at that point as well. We'll see. But that's it. Hope you had fun. I hope this was interesting to anyone at all. I know this is a very lengthy video and a very like niche subject, but I'll try and get this up so it's so you can download and check some of this along with the video. And if anyone wants to try and compile it, go ahead. And if anyone wants to fix the washout, like I would love to see that. Okay, that's it. Bye bye.